Today's episode comes to you from the Blue Chew Studios. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the promo code WRESTLE at BlueChew.com.
Welcome to Something To Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle with.
Bruce Prichard.
Well, you know.
That's not a rib.
No, yeah, but
There's no box of gimmicks.
Rumor and innuendo.
I don't deal in rumor and innuendo. And was he there? I was there.
Say something about
I don't give a shit.
Welcome to Something To Wrestle With.
Something to wrestle
Something
with.
to wrestle with.
Something to wrestle with. Bruce Prichard.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Something to Wrestle With Bruce Prichard. Bruce, what's going on, man? How are you?
Freak out. Yeah. Dig it. Yeah, do the whole show like this, yeah.
I like the Something to Wrestle Columbia shirt. You're styling and profiling today, and you're in a good mood, and I'm excited about that because we're talking about, well, maybe not the best of times. Great
So
American.
you know what were great times though?
What was great times?
You know what a great time was my 60th birthday party. You
Oh,
remember
I
that
was
time?
there. All your great close personal.
You were.
friends there.
You were there. It was so unfortunate that Dave Silva, who was on
Claims
the other
to be your
side,
friend.
well, claimed he was invited to the 60th.
Yeah, of course.
However, unable to come because of, and I'm not accusing him, of course, but his association with, just some really, really horrible people and what they do to children. But anyway, he's coming to your Hall of Fame this week.
To Iowa, yeah. Middle of nowhere, Iowa.
Okay.
Yep. I mean, listen, he cares about me more than he cares about you. There's a
No,
spirit.
obviously, I've been well aware of that for many, many years.
I was shocked too. I was shocked, if I'm honest. I mean, he's making the trek to Iowa by himself.
Oh, but wait a minute.
Right. See, he
So
couldn't
who's-
make your trip because he didn't have anybody to watch the kids. But you know who's watching the kids while he's in Iowa? Their mother.
Oh,
I guess she was unavailable.
I guess she was unavailable that weekend.
Right. For your 60th birthday.
Interesting.
Now, Bruce, in fairness, how many more 60th birthdays will you have? I mean, he
Zero.
can get the next. Oh, wait.
Zero.
You only turned 60 one time?
Zero. One time. You only get one shot at it.
So you're just
You've
gonna
got
put-
at least 3 more shots in a Hall of Fame.
Hey, listen, we're all going to be in Iowa this weekend. Come join us if you haven't already.
I don't know. if
Well,
I'm coming.
I'll be there. Maybe Bruce will be there. NWHOF.org. It's a full weekend, and it got started today as you're listening to this. Come hang out. It's going to be a good time. People are going to have a lot of fun. You included, my man. Come check it out. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Or wait, is that right? I don't know. Hey, dude, go hang out with us. NWHOF.org. I'm fired up. It's going to be a good time. You're going to have a good time. I'm going to have a good time. It's going to be a good time. I think the induction is Saturday night. And Bruce, I got a little fun dinner lined up for Friday night, but you got plans on Fox? Is that right? You do a television show?
Actually, it's not Fox. It will be FS1, 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 Pacific. So be sure and check it out.
Thanks for the correction.
That's where I'll be. Yeah, I'll be on FS1 at 8 p.m. Eastern,
Bam.
5 Pacific.
So, Bruce, our topic today is Great American Bash 2008. We haven't done a lot of 2008 episodes. I'm excited to do it, though. It's the 15-year anniversary of that sort of thing. And 2008 is really the end of your second run with WWE. But that's in November. We're still in the summer here. Before we jump into the topic, Bruce, I've seen some feedback lately on social media, which your favorite. And it says that, boy, we're getting a lot of angry, pissed off Bruce lately. Is Bruce angry and pissed off in general or just at Dave Silva this morning?
Just to Dave Silva this morning. I mean, just so far.
Right.
So don't anger me or piss me off, and you'll have Happy Bruce.
I like Happy Bruce.
I like Happy Bruce too. Happy Bruce is happy.
Man, you were never happiest than at your 60th birthday party, and I'm glad I'm on your short list of friends who you could count on to be there and support you in your special day.
Yeah. Well, I look at it as, you have the friends and then you have the true friends.
Yeah, I think
you have the hanger-on friends and stuff that just want to be able to say, I'm friends with Conrad or I'm friends with Bruce. And then you have your true friends.
Right.
Who, show up.
Yeah, Silva's more like a work friend.
Not really. I mean, where does he work? What does he do?
Well, he's punching the buttons right now.
Oh, doing a hell of a job of it. Boy, I tell you.
Yeah. I don't know where we'll find somebody
else. Why would I be angry? Just because you anger me sometimes. That's all.
No, just sometimes you're in a good mood and you do funny voices, and then other times you're like, everyone's dumb. I'm the smartest man.
I can't help that, Conrad.
No, I know that. Listen, I know you're smarter than everybody, but I think you could use that for humor purposes instead of just browbeating purposes every now and again. Just give me some feedback.
Sometimes people's brows need to be beaten.
No, I get that, but every Friday.
Sometimes.
Well, we don't even do it every Friday. Let's talk about what we're doing here.
We've done it in a row.
We're getting better. I agree. We're getting better, and we're coming off Night of Champions.
Hey, get me hot again.
There's a new draft that took place that lives in WWE lore. Happened on June 23rd. It was the night that Hunter, JR, and Jeff Hardy are moved to SmackDown, and Batista, Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, and Michael Cole are moved to Raw. Now, of course, the story that we hear is that boy JR was none too happy about this. What do you remember about old JR changing the color of his jersey from red to blue?
Hey, God damn, Conrad, you're on one show and you're on the premier show because you're the premier play-by-play guy. And then they just draft you. They don't tell you. For all my years, my tenure in the company, and then they draft me without telling me. We didn't tell anybody. And, wanted a genuine reaction, which we got. I ain't happy about this, by God. I'm going to talk to somebody later on. So JR was none too happy. But, it's, again, you get the real emotion. You get, and it's not a rib. It's nothing else. It's actually just something to get a true passionate emotion from someone versus a phony. Well, here comes SmackDown. It was true. He was disappointed. He was a part of Raw. He did see himself as a foundation Raw. And yes, we were looking to shake things up. That was why the move was made. Just shake things up, make it different. And changing the lead play-by-play and commentators was one way of doing that, to give the show a different energy, to give the shows different feel. And I think if he had known, I believe that the reaction would not have been nearly as good.
You know that he doesn't like that sort of thing, though. Is the juice worth the squeeze?
Okay, you know what, man? I don't like driving in traffic, but sometimes I have to do it.
Right.
Is it worth getting a paycheck?
Oh, come on. Is that really what we're jumping to? I'm just asking.
Well, no. But here's my point. I drive in traffic, so I get to work, so I get a paycheck.
Right.
You're there doing that. You're a part of the show. And, again, 99% of the talent did not know and got their real reactions to things. I just, the feeling was for the product, literally for the product, that the best reaction with JR is if it's a surprise.
Who would have been a talent that would have had a problem with that? Like, I know that we know how JR felt. And I guess the idea is at certain times people feel like, oh, well, this could have been a rib. That could have been a rib. You've told great stories on here about how much fun you had ribbing JR over the years. I'm not saying this was a rib, but I am saying I'm sure some talent probably would take issue with this too. If they weren't notified.
Would JR go to another show?
No, if it was not discussed with them that they would be moving, maybe because they had a travel arrangement that they really preferred, maybe their spouse is on that show or their significant other, whatever the case may be. Do you know if there was another time where a talent was not given a heads up, found out, and boy, they did not take it too well?
Oh, God, I want to say there were several probably. They were in their routine.
Right.
They had their buddies that they traveled with, and all of a sudden you're breaking up a foursome or whatever that travels all the time together. We never really split spouses or things like that. We tried to keep them together, but without a doubt, there were people who were upset and like, man, I don't want to go to Raw. My buddies are all on SmackDown.
Right.
You know, you've been traded. You've been traded, pal. Now, the funny thing is that JR would probably give that exact same speech to any and everybody else other than himself.
Right.
So JR would be the one going into the talent and say, hey, you can't be upset. I damn, it's the draft. We know what we're doing. And sometimes you trade your team. It's like a ball team. Sometimes the owner and he's gonna make a trade for somebody else. You're gonna get traded. You may not like it, but you still got a job, and you're gonna be playing for this team this week. And that's what it was. So yes, there were definitely talent that were upset and that didn't want to go to the other brand, if for nothing else. Because they're buddies, because they're travel partners, and they're what they were used to, what they were happy with.
In defense of JR, I do think his issue was, hey, nobody gave me a heads up. Like, if that's the decision, cool. Maybe it's not as cool to tell me in front of everybody else for the first time. But I get what you're saying about, I want that genuine reaction. You said
he thought it was cool for everybody else to get that genuine reaction.
Oh, I don't know that.
Okay.
You're saying that was the case, that he liked the genuine reaction for everyone else, just not for himself?
Felt he should have been. JR definitely felt he should have been informed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. But again, genuine reaction, I'm not sure that you would have gotten that emotion. And to me, I think that emotion was excellent because he cared.
Well,
genuinely cared. Was used to. He had his routine on Monday night. He had the king, man. He had his routine on Monday night. JR didn't want to disrupt that.
Yeah.
So you get that feeling versus King been nice working with you. Yeah. I will still argue it's better.
Well, here's my question. What are we trying? What are we hoping to get with this genuine reaction? We genuinely want to show the crowd that JR feels like he's being demoted. We're positioning SmackDown.
He felt like he was being demoted?
Oh, yeah. Everybody, the fan perception at the time, this is different now because of Fox, I'm sure. But fan positioning at the time, the thought process was SmackDown is the B show, Raw is the A show. And you yourself even talked about Raw being the premier show.
I said premier show, and it was.
So that being the case, if a guy feels like, oh man, and we're getting a shot and we can see on his face, oh, he don't like this. Does that make me want to watch the other show?
If you love JR, you want to see JR.
Right.
That's where you're going to see him. And he's no different than any other talent at that point.
But I guess what I'm saying is if he's sore about it and he's upset about it or he's not happy about it, that sort of thing, that doesn't necessarily make me want to watch the show, does it?
Are you a JR fan? If the only reason that you are watching any of the shows is because of the play-by-play guy, then we've got bigger issues than that.
Well, no, I don't think that at all. I'm just curious why you felt like, hey, if we get JR's genuine reaction and it's not good, that'll be good for the show.
It's good TV. How's it bad for the show? Tell me how it's bad for the show. Because you're insinuating that it was bad for the show. How was it?
It was just not well thought out, in my opinion. And here's why. Because this is my opinion. If I'm trying to promote SmackDown, and I know you were saying sort of tongue in cheek that, hey, this was a genuine reaction, and if you're watching,
it wasn't tongue in cheek. It was real.
No, I'm with you. I know it's a real genuine reaction, but what I'm saying is, you were kind of being smarmy about, well, if you're watching the show just because of the play-by-play guy, no one said that was the case.
That's not being smarmy. That's a fact. I'm asking you a question. If you're saying, because you said
on the show?
Well, hang on. No, you said though, if JR's not on the show, then people aren't going to watch him. My favorite guy isn't on the show. I said,
I didn't say that.
Why you watch?
I didn't say that. I never said that. That's what I'm trying to get to, though. is hypothetically, let's say that I'm watching Monday Night Raw. I do enjoy the show. I do enjoy the commentary. I do feel some sort of kinship to JR. And now he's going to SmackDown, and I might not normally watch that, but if JR's over there, okay, I might check it out. I get that line of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But if I see JR and he's visually and audibly, you can hear he ain't happy. I ask myself, why does JR not want to go to SmackDown? It must not be as good as Raw. If he don't want to go, I might not want to watch. Maybe I was right to not watch.
And I ask myself, hey, JR, you know, this is a draft show. We've told everybody can be draft. Can't you work and be excited on this, or do you have to be boo-boo face?
I hear you. It just feels like a little bit of a rib. And
Well, it's not a rib. It was an attempt to shake things up. And if people think every time that we do something, it's a rib, you have obviously never owned a business or made decisions that affect millions of dollars.
My question is, wouldn't it have been more effective for JR to be visually happy about going to SmackDown?
Sure, it would have. And you would think that JR would be able to emote that emotion. You would think he would be able to, all right, by God, we'll SmackDown, here I come. Instead, he was boo-boo face.
But you knew he would be because you didn't discuss it ahead of time. You had to believe my chances of him being happy are better if I give him a heads up.
No, my chances of the reaction being not as good and being phony would have been if we had told him, my opinion.
So even if it's a bad reaction, if it's genuine, it's good.
I liked it.
Okay.
Hey, listen up, man. If you manage a crew, you know, construction, HVAC, landscapers, whatever, you already know the deal. When your guys pay for gas and materials, man, it causes all types of issues. Cards get borrowed. Trucks fuel up when they're supposed to be parked in the yard, and your accountant is chasing you for receipts at the end of the month. But Coast Pay fixes all of that. Coast Pay is the modern fuel card and expense management tool built for fleets. This isn't software built by someone who's never run a crew. Fuel, maintenance, materials are all now on one card with real control and instant visibility. Set real-time spending limits for every driver or vehicle. Fuel only, fuel and materials, certain days or certain hours, you decide, and Coast enforces it. You see every transaction the very moment it happens. No more end-of-month surprises. If someone tries to fill up at an odd time or buy something outside of their limit, you'll know instantly. Fraud protection actually works on Coast. No shared pins, no missing receipts, no guessing. Employees check in by text. Coast verifies the purchase, and you stay in control. And your accounting team will thank you. Automatic receipt capture and cleaner data means month end goes from a tedious multi-hour project to a quick review. Unlike old fuel cards, Coast works everywhere Visa is accepted. Every gas station, every brand, every time. Your drivers aren't detouring just to find the one station that actually takes your card. There's no contracts, no commitments, just a smarter, simpler way to keep your operations tight and your crews moving. Right now, CoastPay is offering our listeners up to $2,000 credit when they get started at coastpay.com/Bruce. That's coastpay.com/Bruce to see how you could earn up to $2,000 credit. Terms apply. That's coastpay.com/Bruce. The Coast Visa commercial credit card is issued by Celtic Bank. All card accounts are subject to credit approval.
Coming out of Night of Champions, Hunter is going to retain the WWE Championship over John Cena and Edge, and they're going to defeat Batista to retain the World Heavyweight Championship.
Oh, hell.
But the next night on Raw, Batista destroys Edge to help facilitate CM Punk cashing in the Money in the Bank title shot on Edge, and he pins him in 6 seconds to become the new champion. And this is the first time the World Heavyweight title has changed hands on Raw, besides Hunter being handed the belt like 6 years prior. So this is a big moment in Monday Night Raw history. It only takes CM Punk 6 seconds. What do you remember about this moment?
Very controversial. And it was controversial because I don't think that Punk had a lot of people in the locker room that were really pro Punk. You know, it's a polarizing figure. I thought if he's that polarizing in the locker room, then what's the general audience feel about him? And I really felt the general audience was intrigued. He was different. And there was something about, you know, Punk, especially at that time, that people were, there was a groundswell. People were getting behind him. I thought then, I think now, later on when he did the whole X Division, I thought that he was a much better heel, natural heel. The idea at the time was for him to eventually turn heel. The way that they did it, that was after I was gone, I thought was superb. I thought it was really good for him. But again, in an effort to shake things up, you want to see surprise on people's faces, you want to see genuine reactions, have a camera backstage when Punk won the title. There were those that like, what the hell are you doing? There were those who were happy for him. And again, it was a moment that no one was going to call. And I thought it was a good one.
I really do believe when you're saying, hey, we're trying to shake things up here, because this night, this special Raw, it's not just special for CM Punk. Kofi Kingston, Ted DiBiase, and Cody Rhodes all win titles that night. They're all highlighted on Monday Night Raw. I mean, we had Kofi defeating Jericho by DQ. We had the heel turn of Cody Rhodes starting to develop a little more. I mean, you're definitely trying to shake things up and try new things. This feels like, hey man, between the pay-per-view and this Monday Night Raw, we got to get a lot of these guys over.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Who was pushing for quote unquote youth? Because these are all young guys here getting their chance.
I think everybody was. I think everyone felt a bit of a staleness with the product and with the talent where they were. There had been, for whatever reason, just a feeling of sameness and frankly, a feeling of safety too. So, man, throw it up in the air and can't make an omelet if you don't break some eggs. So the idea was, man, just let's go. Let's go. Let's don't stick with the status quo and the norm. Let's try something else and let's see what works. In some cases, it was throwing a lot of crap at a wall, seeing what stuck. That was, in many ways, the mentality to try to get people talking again. Hey, the new, did you see what happened on Raw? Did you hear what happened on SmackDown? And get people talking. It was definitely a disruptor at the time.
Talk to me a little bit about, the controversy whenever this happens. Like, the legend is that certain folks were not fans of CM Punk. And I'm sure there's a lot of discussion of there being quote unquote nepotism, because it is Dusty Rhodes' son. It is Ted DiBiase's son. And Kofi Kingston wasn't the quote unquote biggest guy in the world. And once upon a time, this was known as the land of the giants. Was there anybody who was sort of hesitant for this change overall? Or did most of the discussion, good or bad, circle around CM Punk at the time?
No, it was 50-50, I think, on everything. Yeah, there was people that had been there for a long time that felt, looked over, guys that were bigger that weren't in the mix at the time were like, wow, you're going to believe that little guy?
Right.
Well, you'll believe it if you see it. And nepotism, if anything, probably would have been what took so long.
Right.
I don't think that a lot of times that second generation talent in the beginning, they don't always make it because they're being compared to what came before them. Not everyone can live up to that, and only those special few can. I would dare to say probably more didn't make it as big as their fathers or mothers before them. And so that was one thing I know Vince has always been very careful of. It's you don't want to, Ted DiBiase is a great example of you didn't want to call him Ted Jr. because Ted Sr., the $1 Million Man, was such a dominant character and just so strong as a character. And Ted Jr. was not that character. I don't think that he could pull off that character. Cody at the time, I think the same thing. Dusty was so flamboyant. But if anything, I think that kind of held him back at times.
Yeah, it's weird. Timing is a funny thing. I mean, here Cody Rhodes is poised for, what a lot of people feel is going to be a great WWE run. And in many ways it was. And then we took some left turns along the way. And there's a great new documentary that comes out next week that you guys should check out. It actually comes out, I guess, the following Monday, July 31st, the American Nightmare documentary. Bruce, there was a movie premiere for it this past week in Atlanta. Man, everybody who saw it was in love with it. Have you had a chance to see it? What'd you think?
I've only seen bits and pieces of it, and what I saw was excellent. It was one of those that the bits and pieces I saw, I wanted to see more, and shut it down. And I said, "Show me the final cut. I'm not gonna take notes on it."
I can't wait for folks to see it. I've heard a lot of great things about it. Everyone who's seen it has said it might be one of the best documentaries in wrestling in a long, long time. So it comes out on Monday, July 31st on Peacock. Check it out, the Cody Rhodes story. Let's talk about
Peacock.
What's that?
Yeah, you said Peacock.
Yeah. Am I going to get to say? We don't talk about current stuff. Hey, Shelton Benjamin, he's moving to SmackDown. And Dave Meltzer would write that that's a bit of a surprise because the word Dave heard is that Michael Hayes apparently wasn't high on him. Apparently, Michael Hayes in meetings over time, it's been reported that Dave Meltzer heard, so you know what that means, that maybe Hayes would argue Benjamin never seized the moment when he had promo time. And as a result, he had a lot of stop and start pushes. What do you think about that? I mean, listen, I think when we take a look with the benefit of hindsight, I think a lot of fans like myself would say, man, Shelton Benjamin was incredible. I could have seen that guy here or there. And he had a long career, still doing his thing now. But I think a lot of people assumed he would have wound up in that main event spot. And I know everybody can't be in the main event. But I'm just curious, what did you think his ceiling was here in 2008?
Well, first of all, I don't recall the meeting that Dave was in where Michael said that, where he heard Michael say that, or
sounds like rumor and innuendo,
or lies. But Shelton, I think, just tremendous athlete, tremendous worker in the ring, but I think he was missing the connection with the audience, and that's really all there is to it.
Is that all about promos, in your opinion?
Not always all about promos. Sometimes it's just a connection. Sometimes it's body language. It's letting the audience in, letting them help you, allowing, asking for help, right, and getting the audience to want to help you and get behind you. And that's just an art form, and that I think comes with age, and that comes with knowledge. And sometimes a lot of guys never get it. But you've got to know when to let them in and when to control them. Don't let them control you. And I just think that Shelton did not necessarily have that connection with the audience at the time.
Man, I'm excited to ask you about this because we've never really talked about this before. But Dave, and man, this is such a great sentence about 2008. Believe it or not, there are people very high on Deuce. I don't know about him on live TV as Deuce, as being one of those guys who's better when his matches are edited. He's scheduled to be repackaged, and the plan is to do something with him on Raw, but you know how WWE plans are. There are producers who are skeptical of these plans because the feeling is he won't be good in singles matches. There is a feeling he has charisma, which he does have, but his timing in the ring and ring mechanics are well below average. people are speculating that Domino may be on the endangered species list. So we got Deuce and Domino here. Deuce is Sim Snuka and Domino Cliff Compton. We don't see very much of these guys, but for a flash in the pan, they did have a section of the audience thinking, hey, man, this is pretty cool. What did you think of that act? And was there a way that thing could have had more staying power?
I enjoyed the act. I thought that they were good together. I like Cherry. And it was, it was a novelty act. It was a let me up. But I think of the three, you're going to look at, okay, there's, which one? You got to pick one. Deuce definitely had the look, had the pedigree, and I think that there is, a soft spot for Jimmy and for some people. And there was also a desire and a bit more of a desire out of Deuce than Domino. Domino, again, I thought the whole act were they main event? Did they have that potential? Maybe. They weren't at the time, but they were an entertaining act that was fun to watch. And they weren't bad, but they weren't great either. So the feeling was, can you take Deuce out of that team and springboard him into a single attraction? And, really that was all it was the feeling of, okay, if we concentrated more on the singles, could we get more out of him? And obviously that didn't work out either.
All right, today we're excited to introduce a new sponsor to the show, Morgan and Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. They've been fighting for the people for over 35 years and have recovered over $30 billion for their clients. Not only are they one of our new sponsors, they're also the official law partner of WWE. And what I love most about Morgan and Morgan is that they truly are for the people. And today they're coming in hot. They want to hook up one lucky fan with 2 tickets to WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas this April 18th and 19th. That's right. They're going to send one of you to Las Vegas to watch WrestleMania 42 live. In addition to the 2 tickets to WrestleMania, they'll also be giving this lucky winner $2,000 to help cover their travel expenses to Las Vegas. To enter, all you have to do is text HEAT42 to 4 the people. That's the number 4 the people. That's HEAT42 to 484-373-6753 and follow the prompts. Don't miss out on your chance to watch WrestleMania 42 live. Just text HEAT42 to 4 the people. No purchase necessary. Open to legal residents of the 48 contiguous United States and DC who are 18 and older. Sweepstakes in March 29th, 2026. This is a paid advertisement.
Well, I want to know what you thought about SmackDown and the Hispanic population. Boy, this was written about in all the newsletters, whether it was the Torch or the Observer or wherever, about how strong Raw had been in the Hispanic demographic. And that was obviously a big deal for you guys going back to the Eddie Guerrero years. And over on SmackDown, Rey Mysterio has really been the flag bearer for this. But now he's going to Monday Night Raw. Are you is this all about shaking it up? Or is the Hispanic demo no longer top priority, or was it ever? Are we just reading too much into the newsletters at that time?
Well, I think the newsletters are making much ado about, and to me, I think the Hispanic population and the Hispanic demo, come on, man, look at the makeup of our country and the Hispanic population, and the Hispanic population votes with their dollar. Okay, because they do. If they believe in something, they support it, and not to covet and not to cater to the Hispanic audience. My opinion, not good business. So yes, we were very cognizant of it and always trying to grow it as best that we can. And I think, having Eddie Guerrero, where we had Eddie at the time, Ray, following that, it was definitely a conscious effort. But I think that when you try to just do it because they're Hispanic, that puts people off on both sides for whatever reason. And I think that the Hispanic audience, man, they just want somebody to root for. They want somebody that looks like them, sounds like them, and has gone through similar struggles that they can get behind. No different than anybody else. If you're a carpenter and we have a carpenter character that, talks about the grind, whatever, that's what the American dream was all about. The son of a plumber.
Right.
But he made it out of the ditches in Austin, Texas, and he made it into the big time. That was the American dream. He appealed to every man. Eddie Guerrero wasn't the biggest guy in the world. Rey Mysterio wasn't the biggest guy in the world. But they accomplished things that their larger counterparts could not accomplish. So you believed. And that wasn't just saying, hey, cheer for me because I'm Hispanic. That was saying, cheer for me because I'm working hard, to the Hispanic audience that could identify with them, who had to fight a little bit harder to get what they wanted, to fight a little bit more to be recognized. That, yes, to answer your question is yes, we were concerned with the Hispanic demographic. Absolutely.
Let's talk about what we're going to do on SmackDown with Michael Cole. I guess we should mention that this whole draft episode is going to have JR cutting a promo about how he's excited about the move to SmackDown. Of course, this is happening in Oklahoma City. And Edge is going to interrupt him. Hawkins and Ryder are going to escort him to the back. That's when Punk does the cash in. And then SmackDown in Tulsa the next day, we see a similar promo cut by Michael Cole about how he's excited about going to Monday Night Raw, and JR comes out and throws him out of the ring. But that skit never airs. Is Vince just having fun since it's a tape show and he knows, hey, why not? Let's try it, see how it goes. And if it's awesome, we'll put it on TV. And if not, we had some fun.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
I think you're looking for more of a pop for JR that I don't think people really cared that much. And not so much even about JR. I didn't care about Cole either. And it was announcers, you know what I mean? It was commentators. It wasn't the stars in a major personal issue or anything like that. So there was no investment.
So listen, we're still doing the McMahon's Millions gimmick. And this is where the stage falls on Vince and he's hurt. And Shane comes out and says he will not comment on issues with his father at this time. Where was this supposed to go? And do you remember this happening not too terribly long after one of the TNA crew members died in a rigging accident? I mean, the timing of this is just really, really bad. I mean, not that you guys maybe even knew that at the time.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so they had a pay-per-view down in Mississippi, and they called it Memphis, but it was actually Mississippi. And one of the guys who had been around for a long time and been a big part of the crew ran out some scaffolding to unhook something. It gave way, and he passed away at the end of the pay-per-view. And like within days, you guys are doing this thing where this thing falls on Vince. I'm not saying you intentionally did that. I'm saying the timing on that was less than ideal. Where was that?
The timing was unfortunate. Honest to God, Conrad, I do not ever remember hearing that story. And that's the first time. That's horrible. But
yeah, my point is I'm trying to let you off the hook because I know there's no way you would have known that. These type of skits, it's not something you probably come up with the day of. Like there's
this has been in the works for a long time, obviously, as you could tell, but to pull that off. But holy cow. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you never hear about that sort of thing. And thankfully, hopefully we'll never hear about it again. Knock on wood. I don't think we've had anything close to that, but this Vince storyline, where was that supposed to go? The McMahon's Millions thing, part of the set collapsing. What was the payoff going to be? Do you recall?
The whole idea behind the McMahon's Millions was viewership for people to watch and win money. You're probably too young to remember Dialing for Dollars. And Dialing for Dollars used to draw names out of a big tumbler And so they would first draw something and would say, second row, 8th from the bottom or 2 from the top, some kind of shit like that. I don't even remember how it went exactly, but they would pull out parts of the phone book. It was a book that had phone numbers in it and names. Do they still have phone books?
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I remember them though. Yeah.
Okay. So they would call this person and go, "Hey, are you watching Dialing for Dollars? You want to guess what the jackpot is? And if you could tell the announcer what the jackpot was, then you won the jackpot." So if the jackpot was $150, you said, "Do you know what the jackpot is?" Say, $150. You have just won $150. Congratulations, Conrad Thompson. And that was it. You didn't have to do anything to get the money other than watch. Same scenario. McMahon's Millions. Vince was going to give away $1 million. Since we were a publicly traded company, he took it out of his personal account, and literally it was actually Vince's $1 million, and gave it away. That was the idea behind the promotion. That was the idea behind the whole thing. And then there was a point, and God, I forget who the hell it was supposed to be, but then you get to the deal where someone tries to take Vince out and so on and so forth. But
okay, so that was the payoff.
The payoff was supposed to be somebody to try and take Vince out. Yes,
I got you
behind the scenes, but we were going to get all the way down. I think we ended up giving away maybe $600,000, and it was just you sent in your name and phone number. We'd call you on air, and if you were watching at the time, then you won the money.
How frustrated would Vince be when everything didn't just go smoothly? Because you're on live TV. These folks may or may not answer.
Oh, God.
It's a disaster at times, and you would think, everyone's going to make sure their phone is working and they're sitting by it and watching it and answering it on half a ring, but that didn't happen every time. And I don't know Vince for real, but I'm sure on the inside he was not happy. But he knows.
Oh my God, it would. First of all, on the inside, he wasn't happy. Technology not working, but on the outside, loving the fact that it wasn't going perfectly as planned. That this is hilarious because some of it was.
Yes.
And some of it was like, all right, you're not watching tonight. Well, fuck you. Next. You run into those things, but that's live TV. So it was, it's kind of crazy. And whenever you do anything of a lottery type deal, you have to abide by a lot of rules. And so you had to do it a specific way. It had to be legit. And that lends itself to a lot of potential just disasters. You never know what people are going to say on live TV. You never know if they're going to be home. Don't know if they're out walking the cat that night or something.
Well, thankfully, nobody was walking the cat in Tulsa. Dos Caras Jr., who we are going to eventually be introduced to as Alberto Del Rio. He's here at the tapings, so you guys can take a look at him. We know that he's going to go on to have a ton of success as this character. What'd you think of Alberto Del Rio? What were your first impressions when he's coming in here in 2008?
Well, I don't think that he ever came in and worked. I know he came to the tapings and said hello and met everybody. Look, man, big, impressive, good-looking guy. Thought, well, hey, there's potential here. Very, very suave, and came across very well educated and just presented well. So there was high hope. I had seen him work in Mexico, knew that, okay, we got to adapt the style, but I never realized how big he was. And so good size, he looked like somebody, and there were high hopes.
We should talk about Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels. They're really starting to heat up their program. And there's been a lot of talk over the years about how hands-on both of these guys were with this storyline. I know Jericho in particular was very proud of this one. when a talent is this hands-on, is that a good thing for the rest of the team, the creative team and the writing staff and producers and all that, or is that a bad thing? Like, I know there's probably a fine line where, hey, we want them invested, but damn, I got 13 other segments to write. I need to get this one behind me. What is the balancing act there between this much input is good and any more is just a nuisance?
It depends on the talent. Completely depends on the talent. If the talent is hands-on in a good way and they are contributing ideas and helping prolong it and have not just what they're going to do this week, but the week after that, the week after that, and the week after that, that's good interaction. When all the talent does is complain and moan that this doesn't work, that sucks, this sucks, things like that, then that's a bad input because it's not adding anything to it. And with Shawn and with Jericho both, they had input. They had specific things they wanted to do and worked with the team to be able to get everything out there. And they had ideas that they brought to the table. They just didn't sit back and go, well, what are you going to do for me? They said, hey, how about we do this? Okay, that doesn't work. How about this? So they were involved in the process. And in my opinion, they were very positive. It was a positive involvement in their issue.
Talk to me a little bit about this program we're building between Hunter and Edge. At the SmackDown taping in Tulsa, that's where we see Vicky Guerrero appear. Triple H is going to congratulate her on her upcoming wedding and praising Edge for marrying the boss. And he suggests that maybe you should get married at a drive-thru in Las Vegas. You don't even have to be conscious when you go through. Vicky is going to compliment some of Edge's accomplishments. And then Triple H is going to imply that maybe Vicky doesn't look like the girls that Edge typically goes out with. And Vicky then announces that Edge is going to challenge Triple H at the Great American Bash.
Hey, you ever start clearing out a closet or prepping the garden and realize you wanted to clean up your long-term to-do list too? I got to tell you, as the household provider, at least at my house, that weighty responsibility of protecting your loved ones and financial planning for the future, it can be overwhelming at times. But getting the right insurance policy can help ease that weight. And I think you can do it with Policy Genius. I want you to prioritize your peace of mind and lock in your life insurance today. And Policy Genius makes it easy. You'll find that they're an online insurance marketplace that allows you to compare quotes from some of America's top insurers. And you can do this side by side for free. The licensed team over at Policy Genius will help you get what you need fast. You can get on with your life. You'll easily find everything you need, the coverage amounts, the prices, the terms. There's no guesswork, just clarity. Policy Genius helps you find your most affordable policy that meets your needs. They answer your questions, handle your paperwork, and advocate for you throughout the process. Policy Genius has thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot from customers who found the best policy fit for their needs. Protect the life you've built. With Policy Genius, you can see if you can find 20-year life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. Head on over to policygenius.com/wrestle to compare life insurance quotes from the top companies and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/wrestle.
I loved, and we've talked about this before, you did too, this pairing of Vicky Guerrero and Edge. They made it work. It was fantastic. But this is really the first time in a long time that we've acknowledged on camera that Triple H and Stephanie are quote unquote married. Now, of course, we know they are in real life, but it is a callback to the old story. Were they ever hesitant to bring that up, or was that always fair game?
I think it really depended upon the situation. I don't think anybody ever really wanted to harp on it.
Right.
And there were times that stories lent itself to it and probably may have enhanced it, but they didn't want to do it. They kind of like their private lives, but living that public of a life in a publicly held company, it's kind of hard to hide. So you have to embrace it at some point, but it was what it was. Vicky and Edge, shit, man, come on. That was one of the best things ever. It just garnered the looks they gave each other was so disingenuous. She wanted him because he was a young, good looking guy. giving her attention. He wanted her because she could help his career. And they both made it so clear in all of their actions and reactions, but then together meshed perfectly. Again, performances above and beyond on every part.
I got to talk about Jesse and Festus beating Hawkins and Ryder here. Edge is going to lay out Festus with a chair shot after the match, and that leads to a big argument. Edge and Vicky are now going to start arguing, and Vicky is going to lock Edge out of her office. They're going to start yelling at each other, and it winds up with Edge calling off the wedding. Vicky's going crazy, throwing her engagement ring down. And listen, as silly as this is, television wrestling weddings have always done good ratings. I don't know why that is. But this whole storyline airs on the 4th of July, which unfortunately means fewer people than normal might even be watching the show. What do you think of wrestling weddings, and how much planning do you have to do in a storyline, a long storyline like this, to make sure that you don't have major things happen when maybe everybody's not watching? Does that ever cross your mind?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's look, I think weddings across the board for television have proven to be draws, whether it be soap opera, primetime television, us, across the board. Weddings draw. People love weddings. I compare them to funerals, but nonetheless, that's me. And this was, shit that happens, man, real life all the time. Okay, think of your friends and, hey, man, we're getting married. We're going to have this. And midway through the planning, it's getting a fight. Wedding's off. And you already got the shoes, and you are a little pissed off and things like that. So it happens, and it was real life. And it was just real life amplified.
Let's talk about real life for Trevor Murdoch. It's written in the Observer that he was let go, and it's a major surprise to everyone. He had even been called amongst the producers the MVP on the house shows, and he's actually booked with MVP. The story is they were going to put him together with MVP as almost like an odd couple of a Texas redneck and a quote-unquote well-groomed African-American, according to Dave Meltzer's words. And apparently Michael Hayes was really campaigning for him, and he wanted him behind the scenes during the draft. But then the phone rings, that damn pesky phone, and Johnny Ace says something like, your character's going nowhere and creative has nothing for you. And nobody can really figure out why. Meltzer would say, John Laurinaitis called him, but Vince himself approves all terminations. Creative didn't have anything for you has always been the line that Laurinaitis uses, and Jim Ross before him, trying to let people down easy because in many cases, being cut is the termination of a childhood dream. Those close to Murdoch say he's taking it surprisingly well, and it was said that Hayes, who would book some mid-card ideas for him, was not aware of the termination until the internal memo right after Murdoch was told. It's not known who did and who didn't know ahead of time, other than people who would normally know. And just talk me through this, man. Nobody seems to know, why was Trevor Murdoch shown the door?
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. So whether something happened that just was kept from everybody, or who the hell ever really knows sometimes. Sometimes it's budget reasons where you look at it and go, hey, we're over so much, and well,
right.
here's that number, and you find it that way. But I've always hated from day one, always hated the creative has nothing for you. That was, in my opinion, a cheap way.
Yes.
To
fade the heat.
To have to let someone go. Sometimes you just have to say, look, man, we're making cuts. And unfortunately, we've got to cut you at this time. Doors never shut. Doors always open. Things can happen. But I have no idea what the reason was for Trevor to be cut. No idea at all.
Kane is not being cut, but we are going to flip him from being a babyface to a heel. He's going to be pinned by Batista in a 4-way number 1 contenders match to take on Punk at the Bash. I always liked Kane as a heel. Did you prefer Kane as a heel or a babyface?
Heel, definitely.
Yeah.
Kane is a heel at heart. Old Mayor Glenn, yeah. But he's just better as a heel. It's so much more fun to be a heel and to have people boo you and hate you. It's easy. You don't have to smile. You don't have to worry about what you do or what you don't do. And I thought that Kane was a great heel, much better heel than he was babyface. People loved him because he was a big tough guy as a babyface, but
Yes.
yeah, better heel.
We're trying some things here. They're going to do a segment where we see a light stand fall down during a Punk interview. And then something that we see at least once a year on social media gets brought back up again, where a quote unquote fan who snuck backstage jumps in front of Batista and starts doing the Batista poses. And then security comes and hauls him out. Man, there's a lot of fans online who still believe, how did this fan get back there? You guys are writing this in. What's the thinking in putting something like that in? Is it, hey, anything can happen here in the World Wrestling Federation, or is there more to it than that?
You know, I've seen this clip.
Yeah.
And for the life of me, do not remember it.
I mean, listen, it's a nothing segment, but it stands out because it's so different.
I guess. I mean, to me, it was if you didn't have the video proof of it,
you deny it.
I would go, yeah. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you if that was a fan. I couldn't tell you if that was something we wanted to do. No clue. No clue at all.
We got a loose association here on the program with John Cena and Crime Time, and it leads to, well, one of the worst written moments in John Cena's career. Last week we talked about the rise of Cena, and this is probably near the bottom. Instead of a match, they do a segment where Cena and Crime Time destroy JBL's limo. They're going to bust out the windows and the windshield with Cena with a tire iron. And JTG's got a baseball bat. And I think Shad's rocking a lead pipe. And they keep JBL away. And they end up tagging the limo with Cena writing, JBL is poopy. Poopy. Bruce, who booked this shit?
Would you rather them write JBL as shit? Can't air that on TV.
I mean, those are not
Poo-poo is poo-poo better?
Why couldn't you write JBL sucks?
Well, they probably did, but maybe they like poopy. Maybe that was slang for, I don't know.
Well, listen, we get on this because
I don't speak rap. You speak rap.
No one in rap says poopy.
Well, obviously they do.
No, they don't. And I'm just curious, do you think Vince thinking this is funny and really pushing for it? And it is silly funny, but it's also kind of not so funny, more stupid. Poopy? Like, we know Vince has certain words he loves or doesn't love, or don't say that.
I don't think Vince would say poopy.
Well, where does poopy come from, man?
I don't know. Maybe it came from them. Because again, you can't say shit. You can't say crap.
You think John Cena suggested poopy?
Sure.
You should be ashamed.
Or Crime Time, either one.
Crime Time did not suggest poopy. Come on.
You know this because you were in the meeting with Dave Meltzer when they said, hey, let's don't say poopy.
That's right.
Okay.
I was there.
All right.
Dave told me. I was in catering.
There you go.
So listen, now that the PG era is definitely upon us with poopy, we see Punk pin Snitsky with the.
You never poopied your pants?
Oh, I did. I have. Yeah.
Okay.
I have. When was the last time you took a dump with your pants on?
Almost yesterday.
Almost.
It was close. Let me tell you, it was close.
Tell us about it.
It was just close.
How close?
It was like that feeling.
Were you turtle?
You ever notice this when you have to go to the bathroom? Let's say you got to pee. Maybe you got to pee bad. But the closer that you get to the toilet, like the worse you have to be. Like it gets more intense the closer you get.
Right.
Because it knows, like, okay, release is within distance. And it knows. It just knows. Same thing with poop. Like, you feel, oh man, I gotta go. So Go here, or should I wait till I get home? But then there's somebody who says, hey, man, there's a bathroom right there. I want to come out. And you go, and they go, okay, he's going in. So they're ready to come on out. And it's just, it gets close sometimes. Poopy.
Well,
You're a poopy.
it's a little poopy that Snitsky is wrestling CM Punk here. This is tough because apparently, because of the size here, I'm not sure. Punk accidentally nails him with the knee and I guess breaks his nose. This is less than ideal. It ain't ballet. Things happen. You remember there being any controversy around the go to sleep as a result of this broken nose?
No, it's not ballet. Things happen sometimes. I don't know that, Punk had never hurt anybody with that before.
Right.
And again, accidents happen. Now, if he was sloppy continually and didn't know how to do moves and continued to do them or did them for the first time on TV without practicing them and things like that, and was doing things he didn't know how to do, that would be different. But he had done this many times before, simply an accident.
Let's talk about the next day. We got the ECW and SmackDown tapings, and that's where we see the Braden Walker debut. We just did a whole 2-hour interview with Chris Harris talking about this on a new program we created called False Finish over at adfreeshows.com. Is there anything else you want to add?
Well, again, and I haven't heard the entire interview. All I've heard is what people, choose to send and say, and his quotes that may or may not be in context. But, it's my understanding that, it was someone else's fault that they were changing things at the last minute and he was confused and what have you. Well, the reason they were changing things at the last minute is because he was not able to do the things that they had given him in the first place. So they were changing it, trying to make it easier for him to do. And again, man, step up and take it. It's like you had some success in TNA as a tag team. Good for you. Happy for you, man. Nice guy. But didn't come in shape, wasn't up to the task. And don't sit there and blame other people, because and again, I'm only going off of snippets and things. I have not, first one to admit, I'm not going to sit here and make judgments on things I haven't heard. But if that's what was said, then he's wrong. I stand by everything that I said, that he wasn't ready for it. He wasn't good at doing it. And you damn right there were changes made. There were changes made because he couldn't deliver what he was given. So there were changes made to try and make it easier for him to deliver that. There were changes made to try and get through it so that we could get on the air. And he didn't come in shape. And he didn't come in ready to go. And if you're, some people make it, some people don't. He just didn't. And that's all there is to it. And that's the last I'll say about it.
Tony Atlas is going to debut, and Dave Meltzer has this to say. Atlas got in because they're under the gun to get more African-American faces on television, and the best they could come up with is to get a guy long past his prime, known for doing horrible interviews in his prime, and making him a manager. My goodness. They're all over Tony Atlas here in the Observer. What'd you think of Tony Atlas coming back here in 2008?
So Tony was brought back. Tony had been down in OVW helping out with some of the developmental talent and actually been doing a good job from the standpoint of a guy that had been in the business for a long time, had a lot of wisdom, and could help guys with nuance, could help guys with psychology as to why you do things in a match and why you don't do some things in a match. And overall, just helping talent along the way. He was doing it in OVW, had some success, and thought that Tony could do the same thing on the main roster, bring Tony in, make him a character, but Tony could then travel with guys Tony could help watch the matches and be able to give feedback. Again, he had a lot of feedback and quite a bit of experience, knowledge that he could impart on some of the younger talent.
Hey, listen up. Chime is changing the way people bank. It's fee-free and a smarter banking system built for you. It's not like the old school banks that charge you overdrafts and monthly fees. This is built for you and not the 1%. You see, Chime isn't just another banking app. They unlock smarter banking for everyday people with products like MyPay, giving you access to up to $500 out of your paycheck anytime and getting paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. Some old banks still don't do this. Forget the overdraft fees, the minimum balance fees, and the monthly fees. Chime turns everyday spending into real rewards and real progress. I'm a big believer in this product because I know that Chime makes your everyday spending work harder by delivering you real rewards and financial progress. Check this out. You can bank fee-free plus overdraft coverage that you can actually count on. They even help you build your credit history. They do all of this stress-free and get paid when you say up to $500. But how about this? Earn up to 3% APY on your savings. Guys, that's like 7 times higher than a traditional bank. It's also rated 5 stars by USA Today for customer service. You're talking to real humans 24/7. And they've got a brand new Chime card. This is the new way to build credit history with your own money and then get rewarded every single day. There's no annual fees. There's no interest. There's no strings attached. And when you get qualifying direct deposits, you get 1.5% cash back on eligible Chime card purchases. I'm telling you, this is something I wish the younger me had. The second best thing is signing up today. You're not going to regret getting hooked up with Chime. Chime is not just smarter banking. It's the most rewarding way to bank. Join the millions who are already banking fee-free today. It takes just a few minutes to sign up. Head on over right now to chime.com/wrestle. That's chime.com/wrestle. Chime.com/wrestle.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services, a secured Chime Visa credit card, and MyPay line of credit provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. MyPay eligibility requirements apply, and credit limit ranges $20 to $500. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. See chime.com/fees info. Advertised annual percentage yield with Chime Plus status only. Otherwise, 1.00% APY applies. No min balance required. Chime card on-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. See chime.com for details and applicable terms.
Well, let's talk about the result of this trade. Meltzer writes, "This is too funny for words. There's now tremendous internal unhappiness with the Michael Cole-Jerry Lawler combination, and the second guessing of the original move has increased this past week. It's been discussed the idea of shooting an angle to put the old teams back together, but every impression we've gotten is that that's not going to happen anytime soon. And the funny part is all this comes at a time when JR is on his website talking about his new schedule is the greatest work schedule he's ever had. Vince is said to not be thinking about making the change back at this point and trying to get Cole to become what he wants the Raw announcer to be. Do you remember Vince being frustrated with the combination of Cole and Lawler at first?
Could have been. I don't recall specifically, but sure, it could have been easily. You know, it's funny that people like to criticize the play-by-play guys. Come do it. Come try it.
Right.
Come try it. Just one show. Hell, go try it. Go try it on tape. See how you do. But go try it live in front of 20,000 people with somebody in your ear who is producing you and someone in your ear counting you down where you've got to hit times. You've got to make segues from things to promotional materials. You've got to nail times for commercials. Without a doubt, other than talent relations and creative are one of the most thankless jobs in the entire company and most difficult. That's why, you know, you look at people get used to a guy like Jim Ross, they get used to, you know, now Michael Cole, to where that's their soundtrack. That's the soundtrack of their fandom. So they love them. They don't want change. They don't want new. But once the new becomes regular, now you don't want to mess that up either. And it was just new. It was still new. They were still finding themselves and finding their way and finding that connection. so that they could move on. But it wasn't that they were doing a bad job. It just was, man, JR and King, they fit together. Later on, Cole and King fit together. It just took time. Didn't fit at first. Just took time to get to that point. And you have to be willing to put the time in and have the patience to let it work itself out. It will eventually, or you make changes again. But I think when you have capable talent in the role, and Michael Cole and Lawler both being very capable, they found their groove and they became a great team. But in the beginning, yeah, it was tough. Very tough.
Well, I'll tell you something that's not tough is all the success you're having in Latin America. You got $12,000 and $750,000 at the gate in Chile. $1 million in Lima, Peru. How about Panama City and San Salvador had 3,000 each? 4-day gross here for this little tour, 2.2 million. I know one of these shows was in a soccer stadium, and you know, whether it's 12,000 or 20,000, it's not filling up a soccer stadium. But anytime you can top $1 million at the gate, my goodness. Were you surprised to see how hot the product was in Latin America? You didn't do this all the time, but when you did, it was a big success.
It was a big success, and I wasn't surprised because those markets have always proven to be hot markets for our television show. And man, you know, they'll support it. The problem is, the issue becomes doing business there and getting rings there, getting personnel there. The infrastructure becomes the bigger issue sometimes in doing business in Latin America, and getting the money out becomes an issue. While you look at certain places and go, oh, hey, well, you did really good business there, but sometimes the government will hold the money, or your rings disappear, or, you know, different things like that. So a lot of times it may be the infrastructure. But man, South America, please, red hot market, red hot, and great for TV.
Let's talk a little bit about a piece of great TV that really helps make Rhodes and DiBiase. They're going to come out and brag about how it's only taken them less than a month to become tag team champions. Duggan is going to come out and they're going to have him in near tears as they're saying, you're just a 54-year-old man in gym shorts holding the same 2x4 he has the last 25 years. And he's talking about his glory days, and DiBiase goes, really, they weren't all that glorious, blah, blah, blah. They really get over as heels, sort of ridiculing the legend. And then JBL asked the team with, I mean, this is a big moment, right? Like, to set this up for these guys where they're trying to find their voice. We're trying to make people feel one way or another. Dumping on Hacksaw Jim Duggan to the point he's almost in the ring crying. That'll do it. What'd you think of the execution here?
Thought it was excellent. And you take a legend like Jim Duggan, who had countless masterpieces with Ted DiBiase, and was friends with Dusty, had matches against and with Dusty. Yeah, it was absolute. You could feel for Hack. There he is standing in the ring. And yeah, he doesn't look like 30-year-old Hacksaw Jim Duggan anymore. He looks like, you know, an athlete that has been put through the ringer. So excellent promo. And I think that, again, here was the first time that you got to see some of those skills of Cody Rhodes and why he was special.
We've got the main event here with JBL teaming up with DiBiase and Rhodes. They're going to wrestle Cena and Crime Time. That's a nice little 6-man pairing. Meltzer would be critical, saying that this feels like a rerun of the old Cena JBL program. But I think, you know, along the way, what we're trying to do is use the guys who are over and established in JBL and Cena to help make these other two tag teams. I think this is well done. What did you think of that 6-man?
Again, I thought it was tremendous, and it was a way to elevate Crime Time, bring them into into the picture and did good for everybody involved. Sometimes just rubbing talent up against top talent, as long as they deliver when it's their turn. That's the secret.
The story, though, is what happens after the match. Cena is going to chase JBL into the parking lot. Cena's looking everywhere for him. JBL is able to get the jump on him with the tire iron, and now he's knocked out. So he's going to prop him up near a car, and JBL takes another car and runs John Cena over. And then JBL gets out of the car and looks horrified at the act that he had just perpetrated. You guys never acknowledge his condition on TV, but we've joked on this show before about, hey, man, if you really want to get somebody over, just hit that motherfucker with a car. And then JBL did it to Cena. What do you remember of this segment?
Way too much.
I mean, last week it's PG and we're saying poopy. And now this week we're hitting it. We're running him over with a car.
You saw him get run over?
Well, come on now.
Did you see him get run over?
No.
No? Okay, there you go. He escaped at the very last second.
So let's just use gunshots next time and just cut to black. Oh, wait, y'all did
Oh,
that
wait,
too.
we've done that.
I love it.
You can do that.
So listen, the when we go to SmackDown, the wedding that was off and back again, we finally get the wedding reception. The show ends with Vicky and Eddie in the ring together. Or I'm sorry, Edge and Vicky. And Edge is showing a Vicky a video of them making out. And then here comes Triple H with a gift. And the gift is a video of Edge hitting on Victoria Crawford, the wedding planner. And of course, as you might imagine, Vicky blows a gasket. Meltzer says, for those who've been following the story from day one, the plan was always for them to have Edge come up with a reason to not consummate the relationship with Vicky. And Crystal Marshall at one point was talked about. What did you think of this execution? Things just didn't go quite as planned, like they often don't in these wrestling weddings.
Shit happens sometimes, Conrad. Don't you remember your wedding planner?
No.
Oh, I thought you married her.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe. I don't know. I was just writing checks, buddy. I don't know.
Shit happens, man.
It does happen.
So sometimes there's cameras where they just shouldn't be.
Let's talk about the Great American Bash. We're finally here. It took us a while to get here, but we're here. The Great American Bash in 2007 did 250,000 buys. The Night of the Champions, the night before this pay-per-view, did 286,000 buys. This pay-per-view is under 200. It's down to 196. Is this just they didn't want to see it? The new gas station, all that sort of routine?
You name it, any excuse you want to make.
Yeah. Were you surprised? We never really talked about this, but there's been a narrative out there that Vince really values his creations. He doesn't really love other people's creations. A lot of us wanted to see Starrcade. We did eventually see it, I guess, like 6 years ago, but it was a house show. We wanted to see Halloween Havoc, and I think maybe NXT dusted that off every now and again. We wanted to see War Games. I know that's happened in NXT in recent years. But Great American Bash was like the only one that Vince really went with. Why did Vince like Great American Bash above the others? Were you surprised he went with a quote-unquote NWA idea?
I don't think that it was the idea. I don't think that the names were anything. Again, it wasn't his creation, and it wasn't new, and it felt like you're banking on someone else's equity that they have in that name, sometimes good, sometimes bad. And I love the name. I always loved the name Great American Bash. I thought that was the perfect 4th of July spectacular, the Great American Bash. But, again, it's traction driven. Not enough people wanted to see it. It's that simple. It wasn't something that people were intrigued enough to go put their money down and sit down and watch. So they didn't. And, with the rest of them, we just did War Games last year in place of Survivor Series. It's not that it's somebody else's creation. It's either something that either doesn't understand or that wasn't as successful as people would like to believe. Great American Bash was something that Dusty did that was, you go back and look at the original concept. It was David Allan Coe and country bands, on one end of a football field, you had a stage set up for a country concert, and the other half of the stadium, they had a ring and they had wrestling matches. That was the Great American Bash. If you like country music and you like wrestling, man, that's a perfect night out. If you like one or the other, it's kind of shitty, because if I've got to sit through the wrestling to get to the concert, then your matches aren't going to be something that people are really going to be invested in. And then if people are only there for the matches, don't want to see the concert, then how does that make that performer feel? So, you look at it and you look at the early success. And I know in later years, it became just another pay-per-view event. I like the name, but some of them, they just didn't fit. And I think some of them were so identifiable with WCW that it would be confusion in the marketplace. That, now it's WWE, Starrcade, or
Right.
Halloween Havoc. And that's just confusing if people identify that still with WCW. You don't want whatever you're doing to be identified with another brand. And I think that that was the main reason.
All right, fellas, you already know what time it is. It's time to level up, and Blue Chew just dropped something crazy. I'm talking next level championship belt gold-plated energy. Blue Chew Gold is the newest innovation from the #1 chewable ED brand. This ain't your grandpa's little blue pill. This is the 4-in-1 beast that's setting the gold standard for performance. We're talking 2 ingredients for blood flow that keep that rocket pumping, mixed with apomorphine and oxytocin to turn up the arousal and connection in your brain and body. Blue Chew Gold dissolves under your tongue, and it works in as little as 15 minutes. That means you can get it on quicker and stay in the game longer. Elevation without hesitation. And this is peak passion and peak performance in a single tablet. If your bed could talk after this, it'd be asking for a break. Make your life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Get 10% off your first month of Blue Chew Gold with the promo code WRESTLE. That's promo code WRESTLE. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast.
And we're back. Let's get back into it, man. This is quite a show. Great American Bash is maybe not the best pay-per-view of 2008, but goodness gracious, there is one hell of a match. I can't wait for us to talk about it. It is a legitimate sellout, so we can act like it was this or that, but we sold every ticket. We got about 12,000 fans paying $800,000. There's over 14,000 fans in the building, but a legitimate sellout, a great time in any year. I mean, what a great metric. Well, we sold all the seats. There is a pre-show match. We got Umaga over Mr. Kennedy in 4 minutes. And Meltzer would say, really surprising to see Kennedy booked like this. Man, it does feel like Umaga and Mr. Kennedy at one point, they were going to be the next guys. And then maybe they hit that darn glass ceiling, or why don't you think we saw them break through and become the stars we probably imagined they would have been?
I think Umaga did all right for himself.
He did fine.
Yeah. I think that, unfortunately, Umaga's demons and what have you kind of got a hold of him in the end. But I think that he had a hell of a career. And good Lord, man, I was talking about Booker T and his Reality of Wrestling in Houston set a record in the Humble Civic Center this past week and did terrific business. And we were talking, and he had Umaga's son there, and, tears in his eyes, was telling me, he goes, man, I fell loose there. He felt Umaga there. And Umaga was, man, one just special, unique talent. And I think he did great. This was an opportunity here for Umaga be that monster heel that he was so good at.
Did you see Umaga's son made his wrestling debut for Booker T's Reality Wrestling the other day?
Isn't that what I just said?
I'm just saying, like, isn't it amazing to think about what's possible in that quote unquote bloodline? I mean, it's all winners, one after another.
Man, it's again, I think that they just they grow them. That line, that family line, boy, has produced some of the greatest just athletes in general and performers this business has ever seen, but just, general athletes, from football players that they're, good God, they're monsters. They're just naturals. And you think of how young, Rodney Yokozuna was when he came into prominence and was able to be a top guy, be the champion at such a young age when, most people are just cutting their teeth and still don't, had half the charisma and half the know-how and instinct that he had at such a young age. It's just the Samoan dynasty that's a real deal, man.
Let's talk about the matches. Here we go. Kurt Hawkins is going to team up with Zack Ryder to win a 4-way and win the tag titles. Along the way, we had Miz and John Morrison, Jesse and Festus, Fit Finlay and Hornswoggle. What a crew here. And how about Hornswoggle doing a tope early? We get Jim Ross and Mick Foley trying to compare Morrison with Rick Rude. The finish sees Festus going crazy, knocking Miz and Morrison out of the ring. They set up Ryder for the rocket launcher, but Hawkins trips Festus from the outside of the ring. Ryder gets up and slams Jesse off the top for the pin. Good opener, 2 3/4 stars. This is a crazy time for the tag team division, but a big moment for our friends Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. I was happy to see them get their moment here. What do you think? This is an interesting set of tag teams. Miz and Morrison, Jesse and Festus, Finlay and Hornswoggle. 2008 in full effect here, man.
Interesting. Yeah, look, man, it was new and it was connected to Edge. So it was, the right thing to put the championships on them at the time and just take them to the next level, to be seen kind of as not equals, but to be seen relevant next to Edge.
The Miz and Morrison tag team, they're probably on a tear here. I mean, maybe the most success from a tag team since the breakup of Eminem. Why don't you think Miz and Morrison are talked about as I mean, they were really working as an act here. Was the creative not on board with them? Were the fans not all the way bought in? Is timing's everything? Were they just too early with this concept? Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe I'm not sure that the audience really, the overall audience really bought them. Look, I think that when you look at social media and you look at YouTube and you look at what we do now on podcasts and all of these different avenues to go directly to the consumer and directly to your demo, there were never two guys better than Miz and Morrison to go out and find their audience, speak to their audience, and get a following. This was, I mean, you go back even, before this, just here were two guys that were struggling that got together and said, what if we tried this? And everybody thought it was silly because we didn't understand it. So it was, Bruce, go keep him in line. I didn't understand what the hell they were doing. They told me, they educated me. And I thought, okay, nobody else is doing that. So you're not stepping on any toes. We're not going to disrupt anything. And all we have to gain is more audience.
Right.
Go do it. Have fun. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. They pushed the envelope, and Miz and Morrison had their own shows, the Dirt Sheet, and they went out and killed it. That was their idea. They produced it. They worked hard on it. And in my opinion, I don't think have ever gotten the credit that they deserve. They were the first. They were the first, like, social media superstars from our business that were out creating content and had a following. It was Miz and Morrison that started all that. It was Miz and Morrison that said, hey, they're not going to do it for me. I'll go do it on my own, and I'll show you. And they would come to me each week and go, hey, Bruce, look at how many people watched our shit. I'm like, son of a bitch. Okay, cool.
Right.
So I didn't understand it.
Right.
But I knew that they were talented, and they seemed to understand it, and they educated me. And I was willing to, I think for the most part, people were like, I don't want to be bothered with it. It's more work. I was kind of assigned just to keep them in line and let them go with the proviso of maybe I can learn something, or I can prove to them that, by God, kid, that ain't gonna work. Your space, my space, whatever the hell it was. And they did. They made it work.
Yeah, they did.
And the instant picture stuff and everything. I don't get it. But anyway, no, they showed me how it could work, and with an illustration that was easy to see, because they garnered a hell of a following, and we were able to see that, and then we were able to monetize it, and that's what it's all about.
JCW Lunacy. New episodes every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. For over 25 years, JCW has delivered the very best in pro wrestling entertainment, bringing fans deep storytelling drama, gut-busting comedy, and unbelievable in-ring action. From wild characters to unforgettable rivalries, don't miss a single moment. Tune in every Thursday night at 7 p.m. on YouTube. JCW Lunacy.
Let's talk about what's next. We got Shelton Benjamin pinning Matt Hardy in 9 minutes and 33 seconds to win the U.S. title. And what a moment this is, man. We just talked about there's rumor and innuendo that Shelton's fallen out of favor, but he wins the U.S. title. And they're really putting over the title by mentioning people like Harley Race and Ric Flair as former champions. They're not mentioning the recent stuff, but the old school heritage. Meltzer liked the match too. It's 3 1/4 stars. This is like the 10th time that maybe Shelton is getting a push like this, and we're trying something, the start and stop of his career. But Matt Hardy, man, he was always over for you guys. The Hardy Boys are just beloved with that audience. It's interesting because you said earlier you didn't think maybe Shelton really made that connection with the audience, but it's like it's always kind of been there for the Hardys. And I can't really put my finger on why. Is it really just as simple as some guys have it? Is that it?
I think that the audience watched the Hardys grow up.
Yeah, there you go.
Watched the Hardys grow up since they were literally 16 years old when they were doing enhancement work on the syndicated shows. So as an audience member, if I've always been a WWE fan, I watched these two young men as a tag team, brothers, wrestle everybody throughout the 80s. And they were young kids. Then all of a sudden, they got their break. So I was watching someone from a very young age grow into manhood. And I think that was really the connection.
Next up, it's Mark Henry pinning Tommy Dreamer in 5 minutes and 29 seconds to retain the ECW title, and the crowd died for this, according to the Observer. Dreamer gets a near fall using a DDT, and the finish sees Dreamer on the top rope. Our old pal Delaney is going to grab his arm and snap it over the top rope. Henry uses the world's strongest slam for the pin, and I don't know that anybody really cared, but there it was. We haven't spent any time talking about Colin Delaney, but we're trying new things here. I mean, Tony Atlas with Mark Henry. This feels like it's out of a fever dream, man.
Why? You don't think Mark Henry is worthy of a championship?
Oh, of course. No, I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying Tony Atlas is randomly back. Here's Colin Delaney. In 2008, I mean, this is 2008 here in a nutshell.
Kind of, yeah. Remember we saw Colin Delaney, Rochester?
Yeah, we saw him years ago at one of our live shows. I thought was it Rochester? It may have been.
It was in a comedy club. I think it was in Rochester.
Yeah, good dude.
And it was like, holy cow, man, you grew up. Good for him.
Yeah.
You know, he realized his dream. And that's, to me, that's some of the coolest things about this business is when you see young kids that come in that you look at and go, God, man, it's just, I don't know if there's something you want to do with a career. And I don't know if he's doing it as a career, but he definitely, man, changed his look, changed everything up, and didn't give up, which is the most important thing. And got a nice note from Brandon Baxter. They're in, he's not in Tennessee. He's in, where the hell is he? Arkansas?
Yeah, he is.
And you know, talked about this punk kid in Dallas, Texas, but he believed in his dream and he kept fighting for his dream and became part of the business. Now has a successful radio show there in Arkansas and does stuff and is still doing it and still living his dream. And I think that's the beauty of this business and the beauty of our country.
Let's talk about the next match, and boy, what a special one it is. Go out of your way to watch it. It's really fantastic. It's Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels, and they go to a referee stoppage TKO in 18 minutes and 18 seconds. Shawn is bleeding all over the place. The referee is our pal Marty Elias. He's going to tease stopping it, but Shawn wants to continue. Jericho keeps pounding on the eye, finally getting a side mount and throwing punch after punch and palm blows. And Michaels is selling it like he's out and not defending himself. And in a very MMA style decision, the referee jumps in and makes the decision to stop it. This is a more realistic style match and certainly a more realistic style finish, a quote unquote blood stoppage. That feels like MMA rather than wrestling, but I liked it. It worked for me. And post-match, Shawn Michaels did not make a comeback. You know, normally you would think there's going to be this, well, let's send him home happy. No, this is just Shawn, the babyface, getting the hell beat out of him. And I know we're probably building towards the next match, but man, what a chapter in the story. And this is probably one of the last big bloody matches in WWE history. They're few and far between. What did you think about this one?
I thought it was a great match. Again, as I've said, you know, I go through I'm not crazy about all the blood. But it was a very well told story. Great match. And the part that I think everybody gets into is it felt real. It felt real. It felt personal. And in many ways it was, because it was one generation against another generation in Jericho and Shawn. So people compared Chris Jericho to Shawn Michaels when Jericho was first breaking in and early on in his career. And I think that when Jericho looked in the mirror, he saw Shawn Michaels and vice versa. So the audience felt that, and that's why this match was personal and it felt real, because I think a big part of it was.
Let's talk about what's next here. Not just in that match, but on this show. We need a let me up, I guess, after that brutal, bloody match. Man, let's get the ladies out there. Boy, this is a bad spot. Michelle McCool is going to beat Natalya, and she's going to become the first SmackDown Divas champion. It's probably hard emotionally to get fans involved after you've just seen what you saw with Jericho and Shawn, right?
Well, I think that that's one of those follow that.
Yeah, it is.
Matches, no matter how you look at it.
Yes.
And that's a tough spot for anybody to be in.
Natalia, man, she's been here forever and ever. I mean, here she is 15 years ago having a good showing. She just had a great showing on TV the other day. She's quietly had one of the best careers in WWE history as far as longevity goes and consistency, right?
Shit, she's in the Guinness Book of World Records like 100 times for different feats that she's accomplished. So, truly one of the most decorated superstars ever. And third generation, by God, that Hart family blood just it can produce some great talent.
All right, guys, listen up. A thoughtfully built wardrobe comes down to pieces that mix well and last, and that's where Quince shines. Premium fabrics, considered design, and everyday essentials that feel effortless to wear and dependable even as the seasons change. Quince has the everyday essentials I love with quality that lasts: lightweight cashmere sweaters, short-sleeve Mongolian cashmere polos, linen bottoms and shorts, tees in 100% Pima cotton and European jersey linen. These are versatile pieces that make a wardrobe actually work season to season. Quince works directly with top factories and cuts out the middlemen. You're not paying for brand markup or fancy retail stores, just quality clothing. The cashmere is 100% Mongolian, the same stuff the luxury brands use. The Pima cotton is a long staple, which means it stays soft and it doesn't pill. The European jersey linen, it's breathable, it's lightweight. Everything is built to hold up to regular wear, but yet still look good. Their clothing is rated between 4.5 and 5 stars by thousands of people who wear it every day. And they only partner with factories that meet their rigorous standards for both craftsmanship and ethical production. I'm telling you, it's going to become a go-to once you pull these linen shorts on. I hooked my dad up with some for spring break. He's rocking them every chance he gets. They don't wrinkle like cheap linen does, and they really work with everything. But maybe I think the favorite everybody's going to love this spring, the cashmere polo. You're going to wear it way more than you think you do. You're going to look good. It's going to feel expensive, but it's actually affordable. Stop overcomplicating your wardrobe. You don't need a closet full of options. You need a few pieces that can actually work. Right now, go to quince.com/wrestle for free shipping and 365 returns. That's right. A full year to build your wardrobe and love it. And you will. Now available in Canada too. Don't keep settling for clothes that don't last. Go to quince.com/wrestle for free shipping and 365-day returns. That's quince.com/wrestle. That's QUINCE.com/wrestle. Quince.com/wrestle.
Let's talk about the next match here and what a moment it is. CM Punk wrestling Batista for the world title. I'll be honest, I kind of forgot this one even happened. But it's a hell of a match. 3 stars according to the Observer. They go 11 minutes and 10 seconds. They are cheering Batista, they being the crowd, pronouns pal. But they're not booing Punk. Earlier in the show, Punk does an interview about how everyone thinks he's a fluke champion and not a worthy champion. And he's going to go on and on and on. And I guess that kind of makes it a lock that he's not going to lose. And Batista spends most of the match working on Punk's back. It's a pretty fun match, as you might imagine. Eventually, we get somebody coming down. Darn it, it's Kane. He's going to ram Batista into the ring post. He's going to then get in the ring and lay out Punk with a choke slam and leave. And after he leaves, he lays out a cameraman with a high kick, and it's been ruled a no contest. So both guys get up and start jawing with each other, and Batista is going to lay out Punk with a Batista bomb. I mean, it's a non-finish. Why did we do this on a pay-per-view? Is this just not, are we out of ideas, or what's the thinking here?
Well, what would you rather do?
I don't know. It just feels like normally we want clean finishes on pay-per-views as fans, and we're heavy.
Really?
We're involving a third. Well, I think when people say
it's no good if you don't have a finish, 1, 2, 3.
Not suggesting that, but I am thinking, hey man, if I'm really excited about, I want to see what happens when CM Punk wrestles Batista. I don't know. I'm thrilled if, Kane comes in and clears house and we don't really have a winner. I could see that.
If it interjects Kane into the story and it's a part of a story, then I get it. And this was part of a story to continue the story.
I think I just would have preferred if they would have started that story on TV and then this becomes a 3-way with Kane for the pay-per-view.
Then what would you do next time?
Well, that's just my
Yeah,
two
that's
cents.
the thing. No, again, that's the thing. It's like everybody says, well, you should have done this. Okay, great. Do that. Then what do you do? Nobody ever thinks about it. Then what do you do? Okay. And then what do you do? And that's, well, you guys just should have done this and this guy should have won. Cool. Cool, bro. Now what? Well, then you do this. What's the story? Why would you do that? Versus, you've got to be able to stretch stories and tell stories. You have TV to fill. Some things have to happen on premium live events, pay-per-views, that then take you to TV and vice versa. So it's just part of the storytelling mechanism. You're not always going to get that clean finish. And I know I'm a proponent a lot of times of just, man, we need to have a winner and a loser. And sometimes you don't. If there's a reason why, and you may not understand the reason today, but you'll understand the reason in 2 weeks if you stay with the story.
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to ask you about CM Punk and his positioning here, even when he is the champ, but to come out and do a promo saying everybody thinks I'm a fluke champion. Mm-hmm. Is that the way to quote unquote get a guy over? What do you think about that in hindsight?
And he came out as champion too, didn't he? So everybody did think he was fluke champion. And that was, again, that's was his story. That's his whole life.
Right.
When you look at his entire life and how he grew up and everything that he has overcome in his life, from his, relationship with his father's, the straight edge society, that's his life. That is how he has viewed himself, and that is how others have viewed him. And why wouldn't you tap into that? Because I think that a lot of people believed that didn't understand him. And that was the other rap. People didn't know who the hell he was or why he was. When you start getting into his head and you start understanding, like I've said before, well, why the Pepsi tattoo? Well, I like Pepsi. Okay, sounds stupid. But at the same time, okay. Wouldn't get a Coke tattoo, It's just, again, it's story. It's trying to build character. And if he comes out and he is saying, I know everyone doubts me. Because when you have that feeling inside, then everybody can relate to it, going, yeah, fuck him. He ain't going to beat Batista. You've been hard pressed to find somebody that would truly believe he was going to beat Batista that night. And to come out and say that, I think it builds, the character. I always talk about the Batista Eddie Guerrero match for the championship in Houston, and sitting in the audience, and there's a couple guys behind me. And I'm sitting with my family, it's just I'm going to watch the beginning of this match, and they bring Batista and Eddie Guerrero together, and the guy behind me says to his friend, says, so wait a minute, you mean that little guy, referencing Eddie, was the heavyweight champion of the world? And his friend says, he says, yeah. He says, and if this were real, that little guy would beat the shit out of that big guy.
Right.
Because they believed in Eddie. And Eddie had that same thing. It's like there were also people that believed that Eddie didn't have a chance against Batista. Same thing here, where it was just career. It was building the character of CM Punk.
Let's talk about our main event. It's finally here.
Okay.
It's a New York City parking lot brawl, and it's JBL and John Cena. Meltzer says this was the strangest booking of the entire program. On 6 days earlier, that episode of Raw, they went off the air with the visual that JBL had crushed Cena's body as he sat him up by a car and drove another car as fast as he could, crashing into it. On ECW the next night, while they showed the clip, there was no mention made of exactly what happened. They did on their website state that Cena had only been grazed and he was okay. So then at the pay-per-view, Cena, after JBL thought he had nearly killed him, showed up unmarked, unscathed, and not selling. It's not a critical mistake in the sense that during the boom period, it was routine to do ridiculous angles involving crashing cars and physical beatings and not selling them next week on TV. But that was at a high point in popularity in the history of the wrestling business. And maybe we're not there now. So we follow this up with the parking lot brawl here. The entire portion of the backstage was taped the night before at the Nassau Coliseum. And this allowed for edits and multiple takes and the stuff done the same day as the show, of course, including the finish. Well, that's all happening in front of the crowd. And the match included Cena being thrown in a car and the car being set on fire. Cena making a comeback from that, having a forklift smash a car JBL was in. Then the forklift lifts the car, brings him into the arena where Cena hesitates while JBL is on his shoulders for the FU. JBL escapes, throws Cena off the stage onto the windshield of the car, which is shattered, and JBL wins. So this sets up JBL as a challenger for CM Punk at SummerSlam. My goodness. What do you remember of this? I mean, this sounds like filming the night before. It sounds a little bit like the Boiler Room Brawl from SummerSlam. Is that sort of maybe the motivation and the way it's produced, do you think?
Oh, it's just a lot to do. I mean, it's just an awful lot to accomplish and make sure that everything's right. But I thought the story was excellent and executed perfectly.
Anything you would have done differently with this pay-per-view with the benefit of hindsight? I mean,
I'm sure. I mean, look, I think anybody can Monday morning quarterback, and we do every single week. You can look at things and see how you could have done better. At the time, I think that we, did the very best with what we had, and it was what it was. I thought this was a good show. It was it like, holy shit, oh my God, I remember Great American Bash 2008. I don't know how many people are going to say that, but I think that when you go back and you look at it and you have fresh eyes, go, okay, it wasn't that bad. It was a good show. It was entertaining. And we accomplished that.
The main event is here. The other key match, I guess, Triple H pinning Edge. This is the main event. It's a pedigree. We're going to see outside interference from Alicia Fox, who we know was the SmackDown wedding planner, Victoria Crawford, and Vicky Guerrero. And Meltzer would say the finish was akin to TNA, in many ways reminiscent of last week's Samoa Joe versus Booker T match, where you were left confused. Fox interfered first and was giving Edge the title belt. This led to Guerrero coming down as a babyface and attacking Fox, and she got a big babyface pop. Where the confusion is that the wedding angle on TV, where Triple H revealed a secret from his hotel room, where he was being hit on and making out with Fox before the wedding, seemed to establish Edge as the heel. But in a poll taken during the pay-per-view, fans voted 55-45 that they felt more sympathy towards Edge. And the idea that two heels can feud is okay. But Guerrero in this scene was booked in a babyface position, and the people, obviously, after the initial pop, didn't take her as one. So let's just take a timeout right there. That is an important storytelling piece, I guess. Edge cheated on her, but somehow the fans still want to cheer Edge more than Vicky. Vicky's just a natural heel. Even when she's supposed to be a babyface, fans just love to hate Vicky Guerrero, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Great problem to have, but yes. It's what's that say about our fans?
Well, it says that we love Edge, I guess. I don't know. And it was a hell of a
it's just that they really love to hate Vicky.
They do. They do. She is an all-time great heel. And what's great is there's not really a reason to be. She knows how to play that character and how to lean into it. And by the way, if you ever get a chance to see Vicky Guerrero in real life, if she's at a convention or a meet and greet or whatever, man, she's one of the nicest ladies you ever could meet. I got to spend some time with her last summer in Nashville. My goodness, an overwhelmingly charming and nice lady. But Edge steals the show here, man. He's got great facials. He's bumping all over the place. Triple H is here doing his thing, and we know he's good. But my goodness, I thought Edge really put on a heck of a show here. Triple H gets the clean win with a pedigree, and Meltzer would say it's a very good match. Gave it 3.5 stars. There's lots of story here. Do you think Hunter and Edge needed all that story? I mean, we're just trying to make people care. I think they did. I mean, just the reaction Vicky got. That was a big babyface pop for somebody they don't normally do that for. I dug it.
Sure they did. Yeah, and it was a great story. It's easy. It was an easy story to understand and get lost in. So that's what made it special.
Let's talk about it. Overall, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle.
I thought it was a thumbs up. And again, I say it was a good show. Was it a great show? No, but it was a good show. It was, kind of had something for everyone. And there was nothing that was like, oh my God, must see. But it furthered stories in a period, it wasn't a SummerSlam. It wasn't a WrestleMania or anything like that. It furthered the stories, and in a good way, I thought.
In a great way. Let's talk about a few questions here, and then we'll wrap this one up. Steve Horton wants to know, I think this is the only Triple H and Edge pay-per-view match. Why don't you think their paths crossed more?
Is that true? I don't even know if that's true. So I couldn't tell you. I thought they did more than that, but
Alex Mahoney says, where does HBK and Jericho rank among some of the best feuds in WWE history?
Man, I think that the Jericho and Shawn rivalry was so good, again, because it was rich in real history of both careers kind of being parallel in different universes. The involvement of Shawn's wife, and it just was, we caught lightning in a bottle. And Shawn was that beloved babyface and kind of in the twilight of his career. You can see that he's winding down. And Jericho, this brash, arrogant asshole that kept poking the dog. And I just think that they were, parallel careers in different universes.
Josiah has a great question here. Chris Jericho has said that this match with Shawn is what caused Vince to ban the use of blood in matches. Is there any truth to that? And do you think in certain scenarios or storylines or match types, they can be enhanced by the performers getting color? So first, we'll answer that one first. Do you still think blood can be effective in wrestling in 2023?
No, I don't think it should be.
Yeah. So we got that one done.
So now let's talk. I mean, you think about it. Yeah, it's. I don't think, without doubt, you don't. And I don't know if this was what triggered Vince, because look, we had policy. We had cut back many years before. We went from done to then letting people do some, and then it's changed over the years. So I doubt this was the one that, oh my God, he said no, because he said no all throughout. We really did try to limit it at times. But absolutely, I don't think that you need blood to enhance a well-told story.
Let's talk about the blood ban. Do you think it's this event with Shawn and Jericho?
Couldn't tell you. But no, that's not. It wasn't something. Again, it was an approval thing, and I couldn't tell you if this is what it was or not.
Chris Rios wants to know, was Michelle McCool the most underrated diva of the era?
I think that Michelle was probably one of the most underutilized of the era, without a doubt. Beautiful, talented, and, could talk. And I just think that she could do everything. In some respects, almost too good. Sometimes very athletic. Michelle was a badass, and people saw that. So I would like to have done a lot more with her.
Ed Dead has an interesting theory. He says, did Edge and Hunter have heat? They didn't face each other much. And on his podcast, Edge said heels shouldn't have grand Mania entrances, hinting Triple H. I never heard about that. Is that real?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Never heard that either. No.
Sean says, what was Mick Foley's standing in the company at this point? Seems random to have him on commentary with JR. Also, what'd you think of this duo watching it back?
I think that at this point, I think Mick was coming in to do color commentary. That was the point where he was starting to do it.
All right, folks, listen up. I know a lot of families are feeling the pinch right now. I actually saw a report earlier this week that says all of a sudden Americans are making withdrawals from their 401k more than ever before. If that's you and you're feeling the pinch and you're looking for some cash, the solution that I'm going to recommend is hiding in your house. Now, it's not in your attic. It's not in your junk drawer in your kitchen. It's not in the basement. It's in the equity in your house. You see, whenever you pull money out of your 401k, not only do you have the opportunity cost, meaning your money's out of the market, so it's going to stop growing for you, it's also a taxable event. You're going to pay tax on that right up front. You're going to get a bill at the end of the year unless you just send them their portion right now. Instead, you can borrow against your house totally tax-free. And by the way, you don't pay tax on borrowed money. I don't know if you knew that or not. Not only that, but the interest you pay on your house, it is tax deductible. That is the smarter play. Ask any financial advisor and they'll tell you. But there's a lot of families who are sort of penny wise and dollar foolish right now who say, I don't want to let go of my great rate. Guys, you're overpaying if you're maxed out on your credit cards. What are those rates right now? I think the average credit card interest rate in America right now is like 22%. You know that's sky high. You know you can do better. You need a real plan to get out of debt. Now, nobody ever plans to be maxed out on their credit card, but you will need a plan to get out of debt. And we can help you do that at SaveWithConrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. You don't need money out of your pocket. And if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. But what's the worst thing that could happen? The answer is nothing. You keep doing what you've been doing and overpaying the bank. Isn't it time you keep more of your own money? But what about a spring break from house payments? You won't have to make your April or your May payment. You're done until June 1st. And come June 1st, you'll have a cheaper monthly payment. Earlier today, we helped a single dad who works in IT in Tennessee. We paid off his truck payment and 6 credit cards. He'll skip his next 2 house payments, and he's saving $788 a month. Now, he could stick that money in his pocket, or what if he applied that to his house? How much faster would he pay his house off? He's going to be able to pay his house off in about half the time, and he's doing it with cheaper monthly payments. You can do this too. Find out how much money you can save for free at SaveWithConrad.com. And I want you to know Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac removed their minimum credit score. That's right. We've been able to help families just like yours with credit scores in the 530s. This is not a subprime loan. Those don't even really exist. This is through Fannie Mae. They're looking out for you, and we want to be your mortgage advisor for life. We're not a bank. We're not a credit union. We're not going to say no. We're going to say not yet, but here's how. Let's get a plan together to save money at SaveWithConrad.com. If you'd like to reach out to me personally, shoot me an email, Conrad@SaveWithConrad.com, or just kick it old school and give me a call, 888-425-0105, SaveWithConrad.com, NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com. Today was fun, man. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about 2008, but this was a blast. Thanks for the time, my man.
Thank you.
And I'll see you soon, where I can't believe it, in Iowa on Saturday. See you there, buddy.
Maybe I'll be awake.
We'll see you next week right here on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard.
Rock on.